most of the people came up to Albany from the South. They were located in the South, and some of the ministers brought them here, and they found jobs in foundries and in steel mills and in places where there were plenty of jobs. Hospitals. Albany Medical Center was one of the main hospitals, St. Peter's Hospital. There were jobs available, and a lot of the people who came up from the South actually took those jobs. As they moved over to Opera Hill, it was white only in Opera Hill. A lot of blacks started buying houses in Opera Hill, and whites started moving out, selling their houses to African Americans. That's how Swan Street became such a vital part of the Opera Hill and West Hill community. Swan Street.
I'm still here after telling you so long. I'm still here, baby, after saying that I'd be gone. Now maybe I was just talking out of my head, but baby, if I wasn't, can I take back what I said? 'Cause when I need someone, hey baby, you're right here to hold me. When I need someone, ooh-wee girl, you're right here to kiss me. When I want someone, oh yeah, your love don't resist me. You're here, and I'm so glad that
Swan Street became Swan Street because of the fact that First, Second, and Third Streets were the first streets to open up to African Americans. People selling their homes to African Americans. St. Joseph, the Catholic Church on the corner of Second and Swan, and so they started enrolling their children into St. Joseph's, and it became a vibrant local community for African Americans.
What were some of the other businesses besides Francie's and Marshall's?
There was Dargan Pharmacy. There was Catherine Restaurant.
Black-owned businesses.
Black-owned business.
Black-owned
Yep.
Pharmacy. He also had a pilot license.
Yeah.
Like to go in there.
There's Spock's Cleaners on the corner of Second and Swan. Barry Spock's on the corner of Second and Swan. The Cleaners. There was a liquor store on the corner of Third and Swan, owned by African Americans. There was a barber shop on the Livingston Avenue in Swan. And so it was a vibrant community for the black community in Albany. There was Henry's Barber Shop on Second. And so a lot of African Americans living downtown would come up to the stores because they sold ethnic foods. And then other people started opening up stores in the South End that sold ethnic foods. There was a store on the corner of Swan and First Street, and they employed African Americans. Francie employed African Americans, and so it was a vibrant community, and even people downtown would come and buy food on Swan Street.
So we cornered the market originally because we had the best food. Now when you say ethnic foods, explain what you mean by ethnic foods.
Ethnic foods is soul food for African Americans.
Exactly.
It was ham hocks, pigtails.
So we had the best of that in the area.
Francie had the best of that in the area. And Francie would credit African Americans. He would credit people. And same with Marshall with
So
credit.
that had people come all the way from downtown?
All the way from downtown because the food was fresh and the food that was sold in the stores. A lot of stores didn't sell grits.
Yeah.
Hominy grits. Franzi had hominy grits. When I moved to Guilderland, they didn't know anything about hominy grits. So that it made it a vibrant community up there. Plus the churches. Okay, you had Metropolitan, Reverend Holmes with Metropolitan. You had Reverend Burns with the firehouse on the corner of Livingston Avenue and Swan Street. You had Mount Olive on the corner of Pearl between Wilson and Livingston.
But 1 second, what year would you say it was where it was a firehouse on the corner of Livingston and Swan? That had to be a while ago.
1949, 50, 51 before they tore it down. And in fact, the church was up on top of the firehouse, Reverend Burns. On top of the firehouse, and it was Macedonia Baptist Church. So this is a lot of history in Albany. A lot of history in Albany.
How early back you go with Swan?
I go all the way back to when the pool room was on Swan Street, something that a lot of people don't know about. That when the whole block, the side that you see now with new houses and where TC Club used to be and the vacant lots and all that, that was all houses. I mean, from the corner you had the mayor, Rastus Corner.
Hold up, because a lot of people don't know who Erascus Corning is. Erascus Corning is in the Guinness World Book of Records for being the mayor for the longest. Mayor for like 40-something years.
Yes.
You telling me he was on Swan Street?
On the corner of Livingston Avenue and Swan, that's where his office. You come out in the morning and shake your hand before you have his coffee.
That's where his office was at.
That's where his office was at, not in City Hall. On the corner.
On Swan Street.
Of Swan Street, North Swan Street.
North Swan. What is this?
This is back in the 60s.
Erastus Corning was a very affable person. He would visit black churches. He was a person who really tried to provide services for African Americans, as well as others in the city of Albany. He established the ball field that's out there now. It was Erastus Corning that established that ball field, and they named it Surgic, Reverend Surgic. But he was a very affable man in the sense of giving ministers jobs. Ministers used to work for the city as court inspectors. They would go in the houses and made sure that the houses were kept up to code. A lot of blacks did not own housing in Albany. Most of the housing, except from the people who bought their own homes, most of the rental space was through Mr. Albert and Kirsch. They were the rental people. They rented houses, and you can rent the house with rent to buy on contract.
My name is Tracy Collins. Born right here on Pembroke Place, 1953. 1984, after living in a bunch of different places, came back to this area, and my wife and I raised our family, children, and our kids for this. My father-in-law used to own a shack located right there, and then developed the building there and this residence that we're living now. 1984, we raised our children here. They were born, bred, and raised right here in Arbor Hill. Fortunately for me, they developed themselves to be very good. 1984 was also a year that Mayor Corning inherited, or I should say instituted, a commercially zoned area for this agency to exist. Since then, we have sold the agency to the Elks Club, but we still have our residents here. This is what we do. This is who we are. Automobile, contractor, homeowner, construction, comprehensive. I will tell you this. Though it was that way then, and even though it was that it is that he was able to receive 40% of every commission that we made on every dollar that we made, Polly Noonan's Black Book which is right there in the city records, came to light, and they developed the federal people came in and said, no, this is wrong. You should not be doing this. But we've maintained it, and we've gone on and gone beyond that, and now we are who we are and what we do. So to put it all together, 1964, when he walked the streets, my father-in-law did, to be able to obtain the businesses insurances that they needed to have, and the automobiles insurances and the homeowners insurances, until when he passed in '84. And my wife going on to take over his business since then. Mrs. Torian, Veronica Torian is her name, Veronica Torian Collins. Since that time, we've still maintained, and we've still gone on, and we've grown, and we've become who we are today. No thanks to the political situation, no thanks to monopolies as they are. Thanks is to the people who supported us throughout these years. That's what I'd like to say.
Well, you can't be a bad guy for 42 years being the mayor. You can't be, okay? You can't be bad and be elected that many times. Because he responded to the community. He endowed himself with the community. And he did a lot of good. But you got to remember the times as well. Let me tell you something about used to happen. There were people who were very poor. And in the wintertime, it got very cold. Okay? And they would go to the school and get coal from the school and take it home and heat their apartments. And Mayor Corning used to hire people who were retired, people who were older. And in political arenas, if you hire people who are retired and their families will vote for you. Because he used to put people in the parks, have them sleep. These are older people. And they weren't as middle class as they are now. The ministers used to get jobs from the city by being code inspectors.
So Rascal's Corner did some good
That's
stuff.
why he was mayor for 42 years.
That's a long time.
And Democrats, blacks, African Americans would vote for him. And others too, but he got the African American vote because he was very visible in the black community, in their churches. At the time, a lot of people coming up from the South, their church was part of their being an environment as well. Not like today, where a lot of the young people don't go to churches. And those back in the day, the churches had a large following.
Homer took us downtown, down to Cornyn's office, and we sit down there with Sons Harville. We sit down there, and we say we wanted a building. All right, you know that building around the corner of Lark and Third, that church?
Yeah.
Well, and Cornyn gave us that building. All we had to do was put insurance on it and use it.
Who gave it to you?
Cornyn. See, we was young and dumb. We put insurance on it, but we never really utilized the building.
Yeah.
And they wound up taking the building back. But they gave us that building.
Wow.
You know, they gave us that whole building. All we had to do was put insurance on it and utilize it.
So it is possible for the city to help out if they see you doing the right thing.
If they see you doing the right thing.
All right.
You know what I mean? But you got to have somebody behind you too.
All right.
You know what I mean? That's how strong, you know what I mean, Homer was. You know what I mean? Homer spoke, everybody listened.
There was Homer Perkins. He was the first appointed. He wasn't elected. He was appointed, the representative from the Arbor Hill area, the African American. He was the first one, Homer Perkins. He was appointed by the mayor, Corning. The Arbor Hill was represented by Caucasians, with a lot of blacks living in the area. And in some of the times, the Caucasians maintained two addresses, one in Opera Hill and one in another area. But they represented, doing the voting, they would come in the Opera Hill area, but you didn't see them otherwise. So that with Homer Perkins appointed by the mayor, and then people, other African Americans getting elected
See the difference?
to serve. But initially, whites was the representative from this area.
Being that we right here on 2nd and Swan, and Swan and 3rd is right there. Homer Perkins was right here on
Homer Perkins right here on the corner, 2nd
Nebraska restaurant, and his house was right
around the
here on
corner.
3rd and Swan.
Yeah.
Now I want to hear about the relationship between Homer Perkins and Nebraska Braves, how it started and how it ended, and what happened in the middle.
They was, when they first started off, they was like this.
Okay.
They was like this.
That
But
makes
then,
sense.
and then all of a sudden it became like a power move. So Nebraska and Homer, when it started off, they was together. You know what I mean? They was together. Then, I don't know who, well, Nebraska jumped street. I'll put that away. That's where it was. Nebraska jumped street. See, you guys started getting with some other people, what was it, Rose Temple and them at the time. And they switched up. So they went against Homer.
They went against him in what form? Like,
The political forum,
they say they tried to get him to quit. I did read an article that they said that they were saying if he don't quit, then they was gonna do something to get him to drop out or something. And he wasn't trying to do
see, but
it.
yeah, because they didn't want to. Homer was the power. Homer has the power.
Yeah.
He had the power because when we gave our sons all the picnic and stuff, people gave us checks and stuff like that. We used to go right to Francis, have them check. So we went in there, Francis to cash the checks, and Homer came in, and Homer said like, when them Francis was talking about the checks, and Homer said, "Don't worry about it, I got it."
Okay.
Okay? Homer said, "I got it." You know what I mean? I got their back. You know. And
Rolling like that?
Yeah, Homer rolled like that. He said, "I got their back," and then they cashed all our checks. Baldwin was good, but you know it was questioned because of where he come from. But Homer said, "Don't
Now
worry
again,
about
let the people know what Homer's position was.
it." He was a war leader.
War leader.
He was a war leader.
Okay.
He was a war leader. But Homer has big, strong ties down there with Mayor Corn.
Erastus Corner, he gave your father the key to the city. That's pretty big. You want to give the people a little bit about that situation?
Well, that happened in '74 when they gave my father the key to the city. Earlier that day they had Charlie Day, and then they had a parade with the cars, and Nebraska Braves had a brand new Cadillac, and he put my father in Cadillac, and it was like a procession of cars going around blowing the horns that day. And then that night they had a banquet down there at the Miss Western honoring my father, and that was Charlie Day. And he had got the key to the city earlier from Mayor Corey.
See, back in those days, we had real basketball tournaments. I mean, you had guys that could really play. You know, just serve the people tournament. You know, so that's when everybody would come out from every neighborhood and come down to Swan Street to see the real ball players.
Who were some of the major players that was official?
Well, some of the ball players that was down there back in the day was like a Joe Quigley. You had a Bowie Traham. You had a Ronnie Carrington. You had a Tiki Burton. You know what I'm saying? All the cats that
not Tiki Burton that went to the New York Knicks.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay, all right.
Nate Bland. You know what I'm saying? Bowie Traham shot with either hand. Ronnie Carrington shoot from half court like it wasn't nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? Charlie Lee, who went to Miami Dolphins, was another one. You know what I'm saying? That came from Swan Street. That that could really play ball. I mean, I was one of the ones that carried him out of the palace when he passed away. You know what I'm saying? I was one of his pallbearers. You know what I'm saying? My parents, I got pictures of him now. You know, from way back in the day before he got to the Miami Dolphins, because he went to the Cleveland Browns first.
Okay.
Then he went to the Miami Dolphins. That's when they got that perfect season. You know what I'm saying? They had the perfect season 15-0, and he came back home, you know, and he did what, you know, he's supposed to do. Show the neighborhood the love that he showed, and did all the things that he could do for us, and let us know that somebody actually could come out of Albany or out of Arbor Hill. Because sometimes I have to make a difference there. A lot of people come out of Albany, but out of Arbor Hill, you know what I'm saying? He gave us, was one of the brothers that shined for us.
Well, you know, when people talk about Charlie Lee Long, the main thing they talk about, oh yeah, he played on the perfect season when he was with the Dolphins. But in actuality, he made history in '65. He was unsung, and but everybody know about him. Oh, he played on the Dolphins, but no, he was the first person, not the third, not the first African American, but the first person to go straight from high school into the pros. March 17th, 1965. So, like I said, there's a story behind that, and how he got to the Dolphins. So
all right.
We just leave it like that. Like I said, before the year is out, there'll be they're doing a pilot now about his life, and everybody will see it'll come to the forefront exactly who he was. And hopefully he will get the Charlie Lee Stadium instead of Charlie Lee Field, which we asked for in the beginning, and we got shot down with that. But like I said, I'm on the battlefield for my father, because so he can get the recognition that he well deserves, especially having something up there at Albany High School.
The city, along with Mayor Courtney Helper, put together a Charlie Lee Day. Anybody remember the young man? And he's a tribute to our city. So I got my Cadillac here, and dropped the top down on it, and put Charlie in it, and we put the bright lights on, and blow the horn and travel all over the city of Albany, and Charlie sitting in the back waving the banner. That was quite a tribute for Charlie. Thank the city for that, and the members of the common council, because they have put that together. Not one person voted against that when they said they want to have a day for Charlie Lee. All the members of the council have voted in favor of having a day for Charlie Lee. Our Mayor Gilley was on the council at that time. He voted in favor of it along with everybody else. They said nothing's too good for Charlie. It's all the way down the side. Charlie had brought to all of us at the city of Albany. He never lost the common touch. He never lost the common touch. He went to fame. I mean, he did it in a big style too, but he never lost the common touch. And he always came back to Arbor Hill, and he stood on that corner of Swan and Third, and every time somebody passed by, he gave him that smile. We're seeing him right now, standing on the corner of Swan and Third. And he was different from all the other young men that were there in that crowd. He had a very pleasant smile. The mayor spoke about his smile. You could never forget him for his smile. He was very polite, very courteous to all the women that ever passed. He was a perfect gentleman. We're going to miss John. And God bless him. Grim Reaper came and snatched him out of our midst and took him on to the spot. But John still remains with us. His spirit is still alive in our hill. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't know. My father was a son of our real, so that went on. That was for years before. When I was little, my father was part of that. And
what was his involvement?
he was a son of Arbor Hill. I mean, I don't know if he held any kind of position in there, but I know that It was Land King, it was Kenny French, Clem McKnight, there's a whole bunch of them that was the Son of Arbor Hill. And the organization that they made. And like I said, it's still going on now. I don't know who exactly is on the roster for the Sons of Arbor Hill, but it was big back in the day. They did stuff for the elderly, stuff for the kids, basketball camps, softball. I mean, my father had started running that. That was in, let me see, when was that? That probably was in the later 90s when they had a clubhouse, actually right there in Chantilly, the Mulligan House. It was right next to TC Club. And that's where they had like the first clubhouse. It was in there. And I know my father was over that and for a while. And then after he passed, I think they moved somewhere on 3rd Street or something.
Now, I want you to talk a little bit about the Sons of Arbor Hill once more, and what was the origin? Because I heard it had a different name before it was Sons of Arbor Hill.
Oh yeah. we was the Deuces. That's our original name was the Deuces. You walk on Swan Street, you throw this sign up, and you got recognition. We was the Deuces.
Now, what year we talking about for that?
We was going back in the I live right here. We was talking like early 70s, 80s.
Okay.
And we was talking back then. So we a bunch of guys. Everybody had good jobs. Everybody, because I retired from GE. A lot of my brother and them state workers.
Now, how influential was that for you to be able to provide things for the kids and stuff, having a good job? Because I think some people overlook how important that is in keeping you out of trouble and being able to help with the community.
Yeah, but that was the best thing that happened, because we was at the point where the city, nothing they couldn't own us.
Yeah, they couldn't take control.
They couldn't take control because we was an individual person, you know what I'm saying? We had our own individuality. Okay. So, it's the point of you didn't give us nothing because we didn't owe you nothing. You can help us out, but we don't owe you nothing.
Yeah.
But that's the best part we had. Everybody was doing good and stuff like that. And it was a point where you do this for me, I got to do that for you.
Or you got to go by my rules and regulations.
Yeah. So we didn't have to go by that because we was our own individual personality person.
So how did the Deuces turn into the Sons of Arbor Hill?
We decided to, when we really started doing stuff for kids, we figured that the Deuces wasn't a good name for the community. Okay. Because that was a hood name.
Yeah.
It was a gangster name. So we decided, me and Clem McKnight and a couple other guys stood up in the corner, and we said we got to change the name. So we stepped in and came up with the Sons of Arbor Hill.
Okay.
And from that point on, that's when we started doing, getting donations and doing things for kids, working with kids.
Donations from who?
From the community.
From the community?
The community. This whole, all through here, all these stores, people, the pimps, we might want to say, or hustlers, all we had to do was ask, say we're doing this for the kids.
Yeah.
And they started giving us donations. So it came up with the city and stuff like that, gave us buses. Mm-hmm. Well, we took like 300 or 400 kids out to Grafton State Park, and then cost them nothing. All they had to do was be there. And we fed them, had games, we gave out trophies, all kinds of food, games.
So it sounds like it just took some initiative.
That's all it takes, man. If somebody want to try to do it, you know what I mean? And we did it. It was a bunch of guys that just wanted to work with the kids.
chance to talk many times about the issues that affected the Hill. And I would call Charlie and ask him for his advice. He would always give me sound advice. He was a very quiet, modest kind of a guy. He never wanted a whole lot of fanfare, but he always offered me sound advice when I had to talk to the brothers and the sons of Upper Hill. He said, Nebraska, you got to approach it like this, and this is the issue that you got to focus on, and this is where you got to talk to them. You get their support. That's why I'll take your advice. And it paid off for me for many, many years. I owe that to Charlie.
Alright, so that's how far back you go.
I go all the way back. I go all the way back to where, we had houses on both sides of the street. It was a two-way street. We had meat markets. We had fish markets. We had a cleaners on the corner of Swan Street. We had a laundromat. We had a drugstore. We had Your People's Bar, the Kittles. Then you had Price's next door to it. Then you had Miss Catherine's restaurant down the street. St. Joseph was a booming school then. You know what I mean?
Now, unfortunately, my grandfather, Eugene Kittle, he wanted to be a part of this, and he passed before I got a chance to ask him.
If you ever had time to sit down, and I pray that you did get that time to sit down with him, because he was a Mason like my father. You know what I'm saying? And me and him shared a lot together, because he was one of those kind of gentlemen that if you go sit next to him, he's going to start flowing, and the gifts are going to start coming out.
That's what I want to ask you. My grandfather said that Kittles was kind of like college kids used to hang there, like it wasn't really what we would think of Swan Street today. I just want to feel what kind of atmosphere it was. Was it like...
Well, Swan Street was, you got to understand, Swan Street back in the day was more of like a family-oriented street. You know what I'm saying? I could go to Mr. Kittle's house and get something to eat, go to sleep. He would call my parents and tell them he's here. When he wakes up, I'll send him home. That kind of. So when you went in Kittle's, I mean, the college kids that came in Kittle's, they were respected because they were spending their money. They wasn't a wild crowd, and the elders that were in there got respect from them. You know what I'm saying? The older people that were in there, because a lot of them, Kittle's was like TV's Cheers. Everybody knew your name. You know what I'm saying? You go in there and think like, if somebody like me went in there as a youngster, they like this, give him a soda. I was happy to be in the bar. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking about no drink. I was just happy to be in the bar. And the respect that they got, to stand there and watch a pool game. Infatuated how good somebody could play pool, and I never played pool, watching all the balls clear the table, and you're like, wow, how do you do that?
Now it's not there no more. Exactly where on Swan Street was it compared to what we know, from TC Club or
No, 3rd Street going towards 2nd. Right where you see that store that's across the street, that it's not Francis no more, but it's got the Dominican guys in it. Kittle's right across the street, directly. If the store is there, Kittle's is here.
Okay.
You could walk out of the store straight into Kittle's.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where it was, on that side of the street. TC wasn't even there, it was a fish market there. TC came afterwards, a long time after, like in the 80s. Okay. TC didn't. That was something that a lot of these young cats know because that was their era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Around the late 80s, late 90s.
History.
It was Kittle's way funny. I remember at one time my father had it, and he had leased it out from Mr. Kittle, and he had lived upstairs, and basically, he really didn't really make any money doing that. He lost a lot of money because the rent was high, but he was just trying to bring. Have a business down there where everybody can come to, whatever. He just basically helped Mr. Kittle, because Mr. Kittle lived upstairs, and it was a thing that my father's manager, he really didn't want him to do that, but my father wanted to do it. Ultimately, my father had to make that decision because my father, he just loved to be down on Swan Street, and he didn't forget who he was, and he just wanted to be down there with his people.